Check 1 2, testing, testing, check 1 2. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Yeah, I believe you can. Yeah, hey, what's up everyone? So this is Attila back here from my studio, and today we are gonna keep going with reading the crap out of the Elektron Digitakt manual. This is the third stream, and a couple of very quick disclaimers in case you are not aware of what I'm doing here. I don't know anything about the Elektron Digitakt other than what I've already read about in the previous two episodes of the stream. I'm basically going through the manual, and I'm starting with the quick start guide, which is a 36-page document. And if that goes well, then we are actually going to go through the entire Digitakt manual. Sorry, I keep calling it Digitone. It is the Digitakt. So like I said, I don't know a whole lot about these things. This is absolutely a 101 beginner sort of setup. So if you are experienced with the Digitakt or Digitone, then this stream might not be for you, or you might want to wait a couple of weeks until I get to the point where I'm actually learning the part of the manual where the more exciting stuff is. Okay, cool. Let's keep going. And last time, in the last stream, we got to, let me just see. We went through parameter editing, copy, clear and paste. Yeah, I remember we did that. We looked into the overbridge a little bit. We didn't spend too much time because I'm gonna go through that in detail later. And yes, we looked into playing some factory patterns. Nice. And I think we stopped somewhere around here, editing the tracks, the sequencer, pattern control. I remember going through the trigger page. No, actually, sorry, I'm lying. I did not go through the trigger page. Yeah, this is where we stopped, the sequencer, I believe. Hold on, let me just see. Pattern recording modes, trigger types. Yeah, the trigger page. Yeah, this all looks alien to me right now. Okay, so let's keep going from here. Sequencer. Hold on, let me just make sure that I didn't miss anything. Yeah, I remember the MIDI tracks. Okay, so we're gonna be going from there. Intending to do this for about an hour, give or take. Maybe a bit longer if it's really exciting, maybe a bit less if my voice starts going away. Well, we're gonna shoot for an hour. No, seriously, where did I stop last week? Tempo, I know I did tempo for sure, about the tracks, audio tracks, MIDI tracks, because I had a epiphany there with the MIDI track, because I couldn't figure out in the first stream why the hell I was looking at what I was looking at, and it turned out I was staring at the data of a MIDI track as opposed to an audio track. So, number 7, the sequencer. Alright, the Digitakt sequencer stores its information in patterns. A pattern controls the playback of the audio tracks and the MIDI tracks by the triggers entered on the sequencer. Okay, that makes sense. Selecting a pattern, press bank and trigger 9 to 16 to select A to H, and so bank A and bank B, as we had determined, had 32 factory preset patterns, if you will. And then from bank C, it's basically all empty, and bank C pattern 1 is where I stored my very first Digitakt drum pattern, which sounds like so. And I know I need to mute this. No, that's not what I meant to do. I know I need to mute the 6th one because it sounds like crap. Okay, cool. So let's come over here so you can see the Digitakt a bit more. What other views do I have here? Top down. Maybe let's stick with this one for now. Okay, selecting a pattern and then press pattern triggers 1 to 16. So basically we have 8 banks times 16 patterns. Patterns containing data are indicated with white trigger keys. So if I go to bank A, then everything is lit up in white because they all have patterns on them. If I go to bank D, then nothing is lit up because nothing has data on it. And then if we stick with bank C, where I have my first pattern, then obviously on the first slot there will be one pattern. I love your push-to course. I sold it for a Digitakt, so these videos are very useful for me. Maybe a bit. Oh, awesome. Oh, okay. So that's on a that's on my first stream video. I love your push-to course. I sold it for a Digitakt, so these videos are very useful for me. Maybe at a later moment you buy a push again or not. Yeah, I mean, JDV, thanks for the comment. I also love the push-to. I think I'm also gonna love the Digitakt, although I'm not nearly familiar enough with it yet. But from what I know, it is a pretty cool little piece of equipment. So yeah, we're definitely gonna keep going with these videos. Hopefully you're watching again right now. Okay, so 7.2, pattern control. Press play to start the playback of a pattern, press play again to pause. Okay, well, that's pretty self-explanatory. Press stop to stop the playback. The audio will be cut off, but effects like the delay will continue to be heard until the delay repeats have faded out. Quickly press stop twice to stop playback of all tracks and the fade out of the sound effects. Oh, okay, so that's good to know. Let's so if I okay, so let's do what the manual says. If I have a pattern playing and I hit play, it will pause. And I'm guessing if I hit play again, it will start from the moment where it was paused. So it's not gonna reset to the first step. Correct. Okay, so I'm gonna pause it. It stopped on 12 and it's gonna play on from 13. However, if I hit the stop button and then I hit play, then it will start from the first step in the created sequence. So I'm going to stop it here, 13, 14, and play. So it will start from the beginning. Okay, again, so I'm pausing it. I paused it on 14. I should start playing on 15, which it did. But if I stop it on, let's say, 11, and I play it again, then it will start from 1. Correct. Okay, if I just hit the stop button, Then as you can hear, the send effect tails such as that ping pong delay and the reverb tail will keep playing. But if I press stop twice quickly, let's try that. Oh, okay, then everything just shuts up. Okay. Okay, awesome. That's good to know. There are so many functions of this thing, and I hope it's gonna stay in my big head. Okay, if you change patterns during playback, the patterns will change after the current playing pattern reaches its end, which we have already determined. 7.3 pattern recording modes. The Digitakt offers. This all sounds familiar. Have we read this before? Is the quick start guide a bit redundant? We're on page 24. This definitely sounds familiar. So I don't know. Let me just go back. I kind of remember all this stuff from an earlier stream. Yeah. Play, stop, the secondary function is the... Sorry, I'm just going through this to make sure that I'm not doing things twice for no reason. Because I do remember going through all this. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we went through all that, but anyway, we're just gonna keep going regardless. Okay, where was I? Pattern recording modes. The Digitakt offers two main modes of inputting triggers when creating a pattern, grid recording mode and live recording mode. To create a new pattern, first select an empty pattern slot in one of the banks. Okay, yeah, I do remember doing this, but hey, repetition is the mother of all learning, so let's do it again. And then maybe what I'm gonna do is, yeah, stick with bank C, and we're gonna, okay, sorry, bank C, and we're gonna go with the second pattern. So CO2, which is currently untitled, and I don't have anything here. Okay. To create a new pattern, first select an empty pattern slot in one of the banks, which we did. Trigger types. You can use two types of triggers, note triggers and lock triggers in the recording modes. Okay. Note triggers trigger sounds or MIDI notes on the chosen track, while lock triggers can be used to apply parameter locks without triggering notes. Okay, that kind of makes sense. Note triggers are indicated by red trigger keys, and lock triggers are indicated by yellow trigger keys. Unlit trigger keys indicate steps that does not or do not contain any triggers. Okay, the trigger page. So let me mess around with this. First of all, I think we already determined that these are just the default sounds. I haven't learned how to create a sound pool or anything like that, so just gonna keep using the default sounds. Turn this up a little bit. Okay, so yeah, I do remember doing this because I created that first pattern, and it did talk about how to do recording. So where was it? I am not crazy. It must be where the record button is. Record. Okay, so key. Oh yeah, so this is where it was. So record key activates, deactivates grid recording mode. Keep record pressed, then press play to activate live recording mode. Activate, deactivate quantization of live recording by keeping record pressed, then tapping play twice. So grid recording mode, which I want to do now, is basically by pressing the record key. So first I would need to select the instrument out of these 8 which I want to enter into my sequence, and then activate grid recording mode, and yeah, let's do this really tough complicated pattern. And then I would select a new sound, activate grid recording again. Oops. I have to deactivate it if I want to select a new sound. Okay, cool. So that would be grid recording, which is basically some other words for entering steps into the step sequencer. Okay, let's go back to page 24 where I was. Okay, so trigger types. Let's read this again. You can use 2 types of triggers. No triggers and lock triggers in the recording modes. No triggers trigger sounds or MIDI notes on the chosen track, while lock triggers can be used to apply parameter locks without triggering notes. So I'm guessing parameter locks would be some sort of an effect setting or a note value or something else that affects the sound, which is going to be assigned to that one step, but we'll get to that later. Again, I'm just guessing, because that's what would make sense based on common sense. No triggers are indicated by red trigger keys, and lock triggers are indicated by yellow on the trigger. Okay, cool. Okay, so the trigger page. Press trigger to specify the general trigger actions for the active track. So let's go back to first of all, let's disable recording. Let's go back to first one and press trigger to specify the general trigger actions for the active track. Use the data entry knobs, which are the A to H Attila and I knobs, to change settings. Note that, okay, they're not Attila and I knobs. I'm just being an idiot, because that's what my name is, and I had to make the association with that. They are Elektron Digitakt knobs. Okay, so use the data entry knobs to change settings. Note that parameter locked trigger settings will override the general settings. Okay, so basically, okay, so this is where I can tune the sample. Velocity of the sample. Okay. Oh, sample length. Well. Oh no, sorry, that's not sample length, that's trigger length. which will come handy when we are not just triggering a signal, but we are applying an envelope to it, I'm pretty sure. Trigger probability. Oh, okay. Okay, that's cool. That's kind of like the new feature in Ableton in the MIDI editor. The not probability. What do they call it? Chance. Ableton calls it chance. Okay, that's cool. This guy here, filter trigger off, LFO trigger off on. Okay, I'm not sure what that is. We'll get to it. And these seem to be just blank parameters. Okay, so if I want to mess around, okay, makes sense. Now, how would I affect individual steps in the sequence? Okay, I'm sure we'll get to that. Okay. Okay, so I'm just messing around with a few of the things that I had learned in the previous streams, which was obviously all the basic functions, how to dial in sound effects, and how to mangle around with the sound on an individual track basis. So, yeah. This is too loud. Maybe this too. Okay, wonderful. So, right, so the trigger page. So we just did all that. And 7.6 is grid recording mode, which is, that's what I have been doing in the past few minutes. Grid recording is a method of composing where you use the trigger keys to add triggers in the pattern grid. Enter grid recording mode by pressing the record key, which we did. The record key lights up red to indicate that grid recording mode is active. Select the track to which you want to add triggers by pressing and holding track, and now one of the trigger keys, the active track, is indicated by the trigger key. Okay, so this is where I have a little bit of a confusion, because it says select the track to which you want to add triggers by pressing and holding. track and one of the trigger keys, which okay, I mean, I get that. But what's the difference between pressing and holding trigger key and then selecting a track and just simply selecting a track without holding the track key? I don't understand that. Because now I'm on track 1. If I want to enter stuff, then I get that. I can do that here. Press record again. Select another sound, press record, and here you go. So I can enter stuff here. That's great. But it says I have to press and hold. So let's go out of this track number 8, which is this snare. So let's go back to the kick drum. It says I have to press and hold track and then select it. But that to me kind of seems to be doing the same thing. Anyways, that's just a question that I'm pretty sure we're going to get answered later on down the road. And does anything change up in the display when I do that? Not really. So I don't know what the difference is there. Let's read it again. Select the track to which you want to add triggers by pressing and holding track and then one of the trigger keys. The active track is indicated by a red trigger. Okay, so to me that seems to be doing the exact same thing as just selecting the track without pressing the track key. But again, I'm pretty sure we're gonna have that answered sometime soon. So let's keep going. Place note triggers on the sequencer using the 16 trigger keys. To add a lock trigger, press function and trigger. Lock triggers may be entered on any step of the sequencer, including ones containing note triggers. Quickly pressing the trigger key of any of the triggers entered will remove the trigger. Pressing a trigger key of a trigger and holding it slightly longer will prepare the trigger for editing rather than removing it. Okay, so let's go on this track number 8. And as a matter of fact, let's just mute everything else. Okay, so lock triggers may be to add a lock trigger, press function and trigger. Function and what? No, that's quantize. Oh, trig as in the step in the okay, so what did I just do? Oh, sorry, idiot. I must be in recording mode then. Okay, dumbass. Okay. So let's say I want to add a parameter lock to any of these tabs, then okay, that makes sense. If I want to add it to 16, so first of all, what is a parameter lock? I'm not 100% sure about that, but I'm pretty sure that's also going to get answered. It's kind of like a chicken and egg scenario. You have to learn one thing to understand the other, but the other thing only comes later in the manual, so there's no way for you to understand the thing that you are learning unless you're going forward and you're reading about the thing that you need to know in order to understand the thing that you are learning right now. Whew. Say that 3 times fast. Does it say... Okay, parameter locks. Let's just read about this because I need to know. Parameter locks enable all trigs to have their own unique parameter values. The note trigs of an audio track can, for example, have different pitch, amp, or filter settings. Okay, so I assume that right. It is possible to parameter lock all parameters found on the parameter pages, and you can apply parameter locks to all types of tracks. In grid recording and step recording mode, press and hold the trigger key of Trig and then adjust the parameters you want to lock using the data entry knobs to apply parameter locks. The graphics on the screen becomes inverted for the locked parameter and shows the locked parameter value. The trigger key of the locked trigger will begin to flash to indicate that the trigger now contains a parameter lock. Okay, you know what? I'm wondering if lock trig and parameter lock are 2 entirely different things, which it sounds they are. So add a lock trig. So what the fuck is a lock trig? Lock trigs may be entered on any step of the sequencer. I get that. Quickly pressing the trigger key of any of the trigs entered will remove the trigger. Pressing the trigger key of a trig and holding it slightly longer will prepare the trig for editing rather than removing it. Okay. Okay, I'm slightly confused to say the least, but I guess that's what learning is all about, isn't it? Okay, let's go back to this thing again. Parameter locks enable, okay, I get that. It is possible to parameter lock all parameters found on the, I got that too. In grid recording, press and hold the trigger key of a trigger and then adjust the parameters you want to lock using the data entry knobs to apply parameter locks. Okay, so press and hold the trigger key, so let's say this one here, and adjust the value. So now basically I dialed in a reverb send on this last parameter, so that should affect this last step only, which it does. Okay, so that would be parameter lock. So okay, so that makes sense. That's parameter lock. That's great. So basically with this, yeah, so with this I can dial in different values for, let's say, velocity. Just to create a bit of a pseudo-random groove, if you will. Do it on 2. If I can do it on 2 at the same time. Okay, cool. So I do understand parameter locks. I still don't understand what to add a lock trig. Anyway, I'm sure we'll get to that as well. Okay, select another track and add no triggers and lock trigs. Okay, what to find them? Sorry, I have to look this up. What is a lock trig? Trigless locks. Okay, so I'm not the only one. I know how to create them function plus trigger, but I'm not sure what you would use them. I've been customizing parameters and individual and group triggers such as ... Okay, I believe it's if you want to p-lock a parameter for a given track. No, you're wrong. That's not what it is. Sorry, I'm still having... Well, if I press record and place a trigger that places a note, then if I hold the trigger, I can parameter lock that trigger. If I hold function and press a trigger, that adds a triggerless trig, which is to say noteless, but you can still parameter lock that trigger. Oh, so you could place a triggerless trigger during a long note, for instance, and change the filter cutoff. Okay, gotcha. Holy yeah, okay, so now that makes sense. Okay, Matt Leaf, thank you very much. That's awesome. I believe this is correct, but now I'm getting confused, LOL. Yeah, that sounds like, that makes sense. Okay, how do I test that? Shit, I'm such a noob with this thing at this point. It's okay, this is fun. Okay, so how would I test that? I don't even know. Maybe try it on another sound from a previous pattern. I wonder, okay, I'm just gonna try and save this pattern save to temp area, great. Now let's go back to one of these first Okay, so that's a long sound. I wanted to do. Wow, okay. I was trying to mute all these here. Okay, so now I have this long sound here with one trigger or step number 12. If I put, okay, what the fuck? Oh, sorry, it must be up to 12 steps, this pattern, so I'm just gonna move that and put it here. Okay. Now if I come here, right, okay, that's what it is. Okay, yes, we solved the problem. Freaking amazing. Okay, so now I know what a lock trigger is. So basically, a lock trigger is a trigger without triggering the actual sound that happens to be on the track, but by virtue of creating this lock trigger, it gives me the ability to parameter lock or change parameters of the same sound on the next step or whichever step I dial it in on. Okay, so basically, I have this long acid bass sound here. It will play on on step number 9, and because I did this okay, so I'm gonna do it again. So let's actually do it on 2 steps. Why not? Have it on step 4 and 9. Okay, so now if I hit function and select step 5, then it will create a lock trigger, and even though this lock trigger is not going to trigger the sample to play again, so it's not going to do this basically. So it's not going to do a double trigger. What it's going to do is create a step in the sequencer where I can now press and hold the step and adjust the sample's parameters on that step. So if I create another one here, okay, let's do it again. I'll put one on step 11. Okay, awesome. That's actually a pretty freaking cool feature. I love that. So, yeah, that's awesome. I'm loving it. Okay, I'm starting to fall in love with this thing, which is a good thing. Where are we? Okay, so lock trigger dilemma has been figured out. Yay! Now we know what a lock trigger is, or lock trig is. And now we can go back to my original pattern that I was working, which was in bank C, pattern 2. I can unmute everything. Around with this. Okay, press play to listen to the sequence. Awesome. I'm loving it. Okay, you know what? I think that's probably a good enough chunk of education for one session. I would move on and keep going with the live recording mode, but I'm not going to do that because then it's just going to be too much and I'm not going to remember what I just learned. So I'm just going to play around with this and see what I can do with what we have learned so far, which is not a whole lot, but it's getting there. So yeah, so I'm going to save this pattern here, and let's select a new blank pattern so there's nothing in this guy. And we're still working with the same samples because I'm too much of a noob to understand how to replace these samples. So for all intents and purposes, this Elektron Digitakt for me right now is a is that an 808? Yeah. Duh, of course it's an 808. Yeah, so it's basically an 808 for now. But let's see what we can do with this. Okay, so grid recording mode, press. Okay, first select the sound you want to play around with. Grid recording mode. And let's see what we can do here. Okay. Hold on, what did I just do? Okay. Why is it not playing now? Track number 7 or track number 7. Yo, why is it not playing now? Okay, another mystery to be solved. Let's go back to the trigger functions, lower velocity. Let's play around with the bass drum, lower velocity. Let's maybe add another trigger here. Lower velocity. Let's be stupid about this. Why not add some reverb to the kick drum? And this one here. And let's go back to, which one was my clap? Number 3. Let's add delay over here, overdrive it, compensate the volume. Funny. Let's go to the delay page, reduce the feedback. Turn on ping pong mode, change the width. Let's mess around with the time. 1/8 dotted. Quarter. recorder dotted. Awesome. 1 second. Okay, so again, why is this sound not working when I'm entering it? Okay, help. Oh, it's because it's muted, idiot. Why would I have that muted though? There we go. How do I come out of recording mode? Effect the whole time and reduce decay. Okay, now let's enter that. Okay, reduce the volume. Okay, I wonder if I can figure out how to add an LFO to this, let's say the panning of this sound. Oh, there it is. Okay, now how do I apply it? Oh, depth. Funny. What else have we learned? The lock trigger, I mean, there isn't a whole lot I can do with that because, well, maybe the kick drum is long enough to last another step. So let me see if I can play around with that. Cool. Now, of course, there's no way to affect step 1 with the next step if the next step already has a trigger on it. Okay, that's fine. We're just gonna do practice parameter locking. So press and hold. Okay, let's go back to the clap. Okay. Why is this? Hold on. Why is this number 8? Did I enter some steps? Oh yeah, I did enter 1 step for this snare. Okay. Let's enter a few more. It's kind of hurting my ears. Oh, we can mess around with the filter too, okay? How about muck around with the reverb parameters. Take that low, high cut off. Put some pre-delay on it. More decay. Well, I suppose it's a drum machine, isn't it? Cool. What happened there? What was the chirping sound? Hold on, what did I just do? Oh. Oh, I guess you cannot parameter. Oh no, because that's the track volume. Okay, so what I was trying to do is parameter lock the track volume. Wow, this must be entertaining for you Elektron guys who really know how to use this thing, because here I am fumbling around left, right, center like an idiot. This must be really funny, but hey, I am definitely having fun learning this machine, and you know, I'll see you in a month or so when I know how it works. Anyways, back to what I was saying after my quick ADD moment there. I was parameter lock the track level, which I guess it's not possible because it applies to the whole track. That would make sense. So instead of doing that, I guess I would parameter lock the volume of the sample itself on that step in the amp page. Yeah. Okay, cool. That's that. And this is going to be a whole lot of amazing fun when I learn to actually import samples or create a sample pool for projects and whatnot. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that part, but this is where I'm gonna leave this for now. Baklava, Primitivo. some idiot. Okay, that's nice. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it at this right now. How are we doing for time anyway? Yeah, 3 minutes or so. Okay, cool. So we did the grid recording mode today, and that was very much a lot of fun. And in the next session, we're gonna look into the live recording mode and step recording. What is step recording? It's a quick and straightforward method of placing trigs on the sequence. Okay, this is cool. There's some exciting stuff coming up for sure, which I'm very happy about. Okay, so that's it. I'm gonna quit it right now. Thanks very much for sticking around. If you found this video useful, if you did manage to learn something despite my repeated and multiple attempts of deciphering a few things such as trig lock, then feel free to hit that like button, subscribe button, little bell icon to make sure that you don't miss anything, such as notifications when I'm going live with a stream like this one here. I love you all. Thanks very much for your support, and I will see you in the next one. Let's keep going with this Elektron stuff. I love it.